Boy, I sure do enjoy walking. Wings! Ah, it really hurts. It's like getting hit with a baseball bat. Where am I anyways? Dang it, this is like the third time this week. Okay, but what if I don't want to tell you? Alright then. So the idea of sending a telescope to space has been around since 1923 when a German scientist named Hermann Oberth first suggested the idea in his book. This idea would be later brought up by a guy named Lyman Spencer. The project would eventually get greenlit in 1969, but unfortunately it would be under budget constraints after the moon landing due to the funding of NASA going down. So that means they would have to downgrade some of the more expensive parts of the telescope. For example, the main mirror went from 120 inches to just 94 inches. And of course they needed a way to get this telescope into space. It's not like they were going to use a catapult and just launch it into space. They also needed something so that if they needed to go up and repair something, they would have a way to get up and get back down safely. So they end up making the space shuttle. And of course you wanted to see an example of that? Here is my professionally made model shuttle. And this is what it looked like taking off. After nearly 2 decades of working on the telescope, it was finally ready in 1985. But in 1968, disaster struck. The Challenger accident forced NASA to ground the space shuttle fleet for 2 years. And if you don't know what the Challenger incident is, then you've been living under a rock. Second model to show you what the Challenger incident looked like. Finally, in April 24th, 1990, they finally got to launch their space shuttle. It had the telescope on it. But when they finally started receiving data from the telescope, they noticed that everything was a little bit blurry. They concluded the shape of the mirror was just off by a fraction of a hair. Of course, all the parts on the telescope all could have been repairable except for the mirror. Before they even launched the telescope, they were developing a second generation camera, which could fix the minor flaw in the mirror. Astronauts would later install this camera in a future date. Hubble was built so that it could be replaced with new parts every time they would go up to do a service mission. Well, except for the mirror, of course. Hubble has had some service missions before. There's one in December of 1993, February 1997, November 13th, 1999, March 2002, and May 2009. They were at least expecting 15 years out of this telescope, but got way more. They even say that this telescope could be alive and active to about 2040. So that is all we got time for, and there's way more to explain about this telescope. So, peace.